Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Maria.
How are you? I'm doing the back
Good
stuff.
for you.
Feel an echo.
Let me flip this. Not like
I can't really see her face.
yeah.
There we
We
go.
Started.
Huh?
I just haven't put it there yet. Sorry.
No worries.
So Maria, I'm going to apply step number 1 because the step number 2 is really the process within the super speed lift and tint.
Hold on, let me make sure I'm recording. Okay, perfect. Let me stream it into the group really quick.
Okay.
Go live. I can see this big. Do you have like a little like tripod?
Yeah, 1 second.
Sorry.
Oh, there you go. I'm just trying to do so that it works for you. $20. Is that better?
Yeah, way better. It was like a little bit shaky. Cool. Do you want to like start with like an intro?
Yeah, I'm just getting this solution on because it's got to sit for like 6 minutes. So that way we're not just sitting for 6 minutes in silence.
Just because I think people wanted to watch this step.
Well, this step isn't necessarily within the speed lift. I mean, it is, but it's, yeah. I'll explain what I've done already.
Got it.
All right, Maria, I'm ready whenever you are.
We are ready. Hi, everybody. I'm Maria, the admin of the Money Making Esthetician group. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are joined with Sara from Beautiful Lash and Brow, and we're doing a lash lift and tint, right?
Yes, the super speed lift and tint formula, which is one of our newest formulas that we launched earlier in the year. So we're going to do a quick demo. Again, hi, my name's Sara. I'm the owner of Beautiful Brows and Lashes, and I'm so excited to show you kind of how this product works. So what I've already done to my model is I have chosen the shield size. I have isolated the lashes onto the shield, and I have applied our step number 1. So the step number 1 is going to be what's going to change the hair follicle and change the shape of it. So it's going to open up that hair follicle. It's going to allow that hair structure to change. And then when we put on our step number 2 is when we will incorporate our new formula. I'm just checking here to make sure that I have an even application. So this is my step number 1. And you're totally welcome to answer any questions that you might have about our system or about what I'm doing. But Maria, you might have to read off the questions because I can't see anything.
I'm watching them. There's none yet.
I say I can't see. So I'm going to let this solution sit on her lashes. So the timing that you choose is going to be based off of your lash density. She has received one lash lift in her past, and she is also using a lash growth serum at this time. So I am going to take that into consideration when I'm choosing a timing. I'm going to do around a 5-minute, 30-second timing. Check the lash and see kind of where it's at that point. So we're just going to let her sit and process here for a minute. I'm going to continually check and make sure that I have enough solution. My solution is up high enough. It's not seeping in her eye whatsoever, which it never should be. Really making sure that all of the lashes are treated with the step number 1.
So what makes a good lash lift? Because I have totally went to get lash lifts and my lashes do not lift, or they fall off, or it's not the desired curl. In your opinion, what should someone be looking for in a system, in an education, or how should they get the proper lash lift to have like happy clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you think about lash lifting, like obviously we came from the lash extension world, where lash extension is a lot more tedious and time consuming. And when artists jump into lash lifting, they think it's going to be a lot easier, which it is. However, there are a lot of things within a lash lift that have to happen for it to turn out correctly. I'm actually writing a guide about it right now, but I see that there's 5 things that have to happen to have a lash lift come out with an outcome that you love. So the first one I would say is obviously the product, making sure that you're using a product that is going to work, obviously. Choosing the correct shield size or rod size or formation size. There's so many different formations on the market. We're coming out with a bunch of new ones soon, but your client's eyes are not a one size fit all. So really kind of being able to assess and take a look at those lashes and the eyes and where those lashes are going to hit once those lashes are lifted. So shield placement, shield formation, and shield size is definitely key. Your application is key as far as how far up do I apply it, how long do I apply it for, and then obviously lash isolation. So how the lashes look on the formation is how they're going to look off of the formation. So if they're crisscross, they're at an angle, they're really messy, that's how they are going to look once they're off. And then obviously it just comes down to practice. This is a skill that does need to be practiced, and it does take time to kind of perfect that lash lift, but that's kind of like the 5 pillars that I've found in a good lash lift. And there's so much to lash lifting that people actually don't really realize. They think, like I can just learn this really quickly on YouTube and have great results. And it can be a lot harder than that because there's a lot of intricacies that go into making a perfect lash lift.
What are some things to keep in mind when looking? Because I always see people are like, I'm looking for a good brow lamination, I'm looking for a good lash lift. What are things to keep in mind when picking a vendor?
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, I'm a really big advocate of clean products, especially in the world that we live in now, right? Especially with it going in or around the eyeball. You really want to make sure that you're using a product that's clean. Obviously, there are some chemicals involved, but making sure what side you gravitate to if you are okay with parabens or formaldehyde or preservatives. One thing for us is we don't have any parabens or preservatives. We actually just got our cruelty-free label, which was a big deal for us because it took us a lot of work to be able to get that cruelty-free label. So we do not test on animals. We have 0 animal products within our products. So that was a really big deal for us. When you're looking at a lash lift and brow lamination system, you obviously want to check the ingredients, but you also want to see, like, for instance, we're a duo system, so it can be used safely on the lashes and the eyebrows. And that in turn will save you time and money because you don't have to buy multiple products for multiple services. You can use the same product for the same client at the same time. So that saves a lot of time and money. Ingredients, I would definitely look at if they have an education platform and if that's something that you're interested in. Because education does make or break a lash lift or a brow lamination. There's a lot of things that could go wrong if you're not educated in the correct modality.
What is a contraindication for a lash lift?
Oh, there's a lot. Obviously, if they have any like styes or open wounds within the eye area, if they have any type of pulling or tugging, if they have any type of eye infection, if they're sensitive to any type of like adhesives or sensitivities at all, I would always recommend a patch test. If they are allergic to any hair coloring at all because of that tint. Pink eye, obviously.
So I love that you brought up patch tests. There's two things. How do you go about telling your client we have to do a patch test? Is that mandatory? One. Two, what if a client's just like, I don't need a patch test, I could just do it?
Yeah. So I think it all comes down to protecting yourself, right? Because in this world that we live in, people can be a little crazy at times. So number one, I would check with your insurance company of whatever insurance you have currently, if you need to patch test or not. That's going to be a big one. And then if not, then obviously that's going to be a personal decision of whether you need to patch test your client. So patch testing would enable you to check their skin and make sure that there's no allergic reaction. If your client is insistent in not receiving a patch test, that's fine, but I would just make sure that you have the correct documentation then that they did sign off that they did not receive a patch test. So that way it does cover you and protect you in that case. All right. Oh, sorry, Maria, go ahead.
No, you're fine. So we already did what we already have done. You secure the bottom lashes, you put on the top rod. You did step one, which is like basically like the perm, the glue.
Yep, the lifting lotion.
The lifting lotion. And why I'm so excited is why is step two so amazing?
Our super speed lift and tint formula. This is our new formula. This is not our traditional number two. This is a new formula that we just came out with this year. And this is going to cut back on a step. So in traditional lash lifting, you will apply step number one, remove step number one, apply step number two, remove step number two, and then you will tint. But in this formula, you can combine the step number two and the tint together. So what does that do? That saves you time and it saves you money. One thing to note about this formula is it's going to prioritize neutralizing first. So a lot of the feedback that we have gotten is it didn't fully tint. And if it didn't fully tint, that means the lashes were not fully neutralized. So you want to give the formula a couple extra minutes to really make sure that those lashes are neutralized. So once you kind of see the color starting to change is when you can see that those lashes are starting to neutralize and that color is going to kind of take shape. So I'm going to mix this really quick for you guys. I'll go ahead and do it on camera so you can see the ratios.
And this is part of the education?
Yes. So
how many?
This is our super speed.
Sorry, how many treatments do you get off of this one packet?
So this is a larger packet. This is a 3 ml packet where normally our packets are 1.5. So I would say you could definitely get at least 3 to 4 uses out of this packet, if not a little bit more. It really depends on your client's eye shape. Obviously, people have different sizes and shapes of eyes, so you'll need a little bit more or less depending on the client eye. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. These are good 7 days once opened if you will seal it up correctly, and I can teach you how to do that as well. So I am going to put in some of my step number two. So I'm going, the UK where we're based out of works in centimeters. Americans don't really know centimeters. So I like to do like two big pea sizes amounts right there. That'll cover both the lashes. And this formula is a little bit thicker because it is a neutralizer as well. So you want to try and apply it in a thin layer, and you can add layers as you need to. I'm going to use our blue-black color. I love blue-black. It really, really makes those lashes pop. We have a black color, which works great as well. If your client is afraid of color or don't want too much color, then I would start with black. I love blue black. And then I'm going to add 1 pea size right there of the tint color. So 2 pea sizes of neutralizer to 1 pea size of tint color. I guess maybe they're a little bit bigger than peas, but.
And how much time does this cut down?
Honestly, it saves me a lot of time. I would say at least 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
On your lash lifting service for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and mix here. You want it to be very well mixed. Okay. And so you should see that the color kind of is starting to happen already. That's perfect. So I'm going to go and apply directly to those lashes. And I want to apply in a thin layer. So I don't want it to be goopy or bulky or anything too crazy here. And I'm applying root to tip. So I'm covering the entire lashes from root to tip. Definitely getting those tips of those lashes. The tips can take a tiny bit longer to turn color because they weren't processed with the step number 1. Once they're processed with the step number 1, obviously that follicle is more open and it's easier to take on that color. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it on the other eye.
And how long do you leave it on the lash for?
So I did step number 1 for 6 minutes in total. So I'm going to leave it on at least 6 minutes and I'm going to check it at the 6-minute time. Like I said, so once it's actually really fascinating to me how a formula can decide. So the formula is going to prioritize neutralizing. So if the lashes have not tinted yet, that's an indicator that they haven't neutralized. So we don't want to take it off if it hasn't neutralized yet. So I'm going to check it at 6 minutes. And then we can decide if we need to reapply a tiny bit more or if we just need a minute or 2 longer. This formula, you do have to give it a little bit more time, but it's still going to save you time in the long run because you're not having to remove and mix and remove and mix and reapply. Okay, so we're going to let that do its thing.
And you guys are more than welcome to ask questions either in the chat or turn on your mics.
Yes, totally. Ask questions.
Yeah. Now this is called the money making esthetician because I always wanted to bring light to if we're actually making profits, because this isn't a hobby, this is our livelihood, right? So what does it cost to do a lash lift? And then where should we price it?
Yeah, so lash lifting, it really depends on your demographic, where you live and how much you're charging already. However, lash lifting is going to be priced for the consumer anywhere from $65, I would say, to $150 is kind of the target market of what a lash lift is going for. Typically, that does include a tint, which is what we're doing right now. You can add on the tint as an upcharge. However, in my experience, I've found that if it is an extra charge, clients tend to kind of think about it or consider it more because it's an extra charge. So if you're wanting to cover that cost and make sure that cost is covered, I would just add it to your pricing already. So if you feel comfortable at 65, but you would charge 75 for a tint, I would say put your starting price at 75. So that way it's not an option, because tinting with a lash lift, it just makes that result exactly what you're looking for. If they don't do a tint, it still looks great, but you don't get that va-va boom kind of result. The cost per treatment for you is going to be around $3.50 to $4 for the actual service. That's going to be if you are going to use it for a couple other services as well. So I'll actually show that to you while we're here of how you would secure your sachet. So all of our products are going to be good for 7 to 10 days. Sorry. 7 to 10 days once opened. So I'm just kind of cleaning off that edge where I've already opened it. So I want to save this for my next client, which you totally can, and we highly encourage. So you get a little piece of micropore tape here, and you're just going to cover that opening and get it as closed off as possible. And then I like to double side it just to make sure that there's absolutely no air getting in there. Okay, so you will just close that opening all the way. Micropore tape, you can use whatever tape you really prefer, but micropore tape is just fine. You can place it in a Ziploc baggie at room temperature. So it doesn't need to be in the fridge, doesn't need to be anything like that. I would suggest writing the date on it so you know what date you used it, and you would count 7 days after that. It would be the last use for this. So it's good for 7 days once opened. So you can absolutely use this on more clients if you choose.
I love that. Someone asked, can the client still use lash strip lashes if they get a lash lift? And if so, how soon can they apply them?
They can, absolutely. It may make it a little bit harder to apply because their lashes are in a curled state rather than a straight state. You can absolutely do it. I would wait 24 hours to apply it, but it would help the overall result of the strip lashes because you wouldn't have straight lashes and curled lashes once the strip lashes are put on. So yes, you absolutely can. Where are we at time-wise?
35 seconds.
Okay, I have 35 seconds left on this eye here. So I'm just going to take a little peek here and see. Oh yeah, looks like it's tinting great. So I'm just going to put that back on just because I'm not 100% done with it. But her lashes are taking the formula, they neutralize really quickly. And the neutralization can also be affected by what type of glue you're using. This is a new kind of finding that I found, that if you are using a Lamy Balm, which is really, really popular right now, it may take a tiny bit longer for the neutralization to happen because there is that kind of barrier where the Lamy Balm is kind of more like a waxy texture. It's not like a water-based adhesive. So I'm going to go ahead and check this full lash. The timer just went off, so this has been on for 6 minutes. And her lashes look great. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the entire lash of the tint. So if I were to remove it and I would see, oh, dang it, there's a small section that maybe isn't fully done, you can absolutely go back and reapply. That's not a problem whatsoever. That's why I did keep my little jar here just in case I did need to reapply any. It's not common, but it does happen for sure. So those lashes, they're going to tell you how quickly they want to neutralize. You're not going to tell it. So I'm just really trying to thoroughly clean off this tint. You can use whatever you want to remove. You will always dry remove with our product. We are actually a waterless system, so you don't need to use water.
That's my favorite part.
Right? No water needed. You don't have to worry about water anywhere within our system. So you can see that the tint has been fully removed. I'm going to check the other eye really quickly.
I would say that I use a lot of lash lifts. Like, I have an obsession with lash lifts because my lashes are so straight and literally no curling, like rod curls them. And this is like the best lash lift that I've personally ever used.
Thank you. Yeah, we love it. It's such a great product, and we've worked really, really hard on having a formula that's not only safe for you to use and your clients to use, but also for everything, for a great result.
Yeah. My clients normally get a good 6 to 8 weeks.
Yes, definitely. If they are using a lash serum, I would say probably a little bit less. I don't love lash serums with lash lifting. That's probably a personal opinion. Well, and an educational one. But so her lashes look fabulous. So
So
I'm
good.
going to remove, so I've removed all of the tint and the neutralizing, which is so awesome about this system. I don't have to do anything else. I'm done. Literally, that took me, I'm at 30 minutes right now, which is mind blowing.
How crazy.
Typical treatment could take you anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour with the separate tinting step.
What would you say is the hardest part about lash lifting?
Oh, that's a hard one. The hardest part probably would be applying the shield and lifting the lashes. The shield or the formation right here. No, you're good. The formation that you choose. There's the placement really, really matters. If there's any type of skin showing or the placement is ski-wampy, that's going to then in turn make the rest of it kind of be a domino effect, and it's not going to turn out as good as we want it to. So I would say lash isolation is definitely tricky. But as is getting that shield on properly. So I'm now coating the lashes with our step number 3. This is going to help the lashes come off gently and easily. So I'm just going to kind of brush them. I never want to force the lashes to come off. I always just kind of want to encourage. We don't ever want to kind of do scrubbing or rubbing whatsoever. We don't want to add friction to the lashes. They were just recently processed with a chemical. And so those follicles are fresh and they're kind of in their infancy stage. I'm just kind of coaxing them off here. Looks like we got an awesome result.
So pretty.
I'm going to go ahead and comb that out.
How many lash lifts did you do before you were like, okay, I'm confident?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, honestly, like I've been lash lifting for 6 years, 7 years, I don't know. And I even still have my days, but I would say in most of our education and our clients, I would say that they feel confident to go out into the world and charge after their 3rd or 4th case study, which is very pretty typical. But even, even as a veteran, there's still kind of techniques and stuff that you might get in a bad habit of, and but I would say after 3 to 5 models, you should absolutely feel at least more confident in your skill level and the outcome. As long as you really take into consideration the basics, going back to the basics, what makes or break a lash lift? Your success will be so much more if you don't forget the basics and you don't rush the basics.
Somebody who's looking to bring this service on and already has an existing waxing or facial service, how do you recommend they start like promoting it or waxing it to bring it to their like a new service?
Yeah. So I love introducing new services, especially if you already have a clientele that is doing another service. If I were in their position, I would recommend, running a slight special saying like, hey, the day that you come in to get a wax, I would love to do a lash lift on you. And it's normally this cost, but I'm running a special if you want to combine it with your treatment. It will be this rate, because that way it kind of gets them in for more than one treatment. They're already there, that they don't have to rebook for multiple treatments, come back on multiple days, and it's already a sold deal. So I think that it would be my biggest advice in that. All right, I'm gonna have her open up her eyes, Courtland. Go ahead and open up your eyes. So we took a before picture, but this is the after, and isn't it Beautiful.
Beautiful. Lash tint, definitely. OMG.
I know. Look at it. I mean, and granted, yes, she had great lashes to begin with, but literally I started this lash lift. If you need to, you can close.
You're good.
The light is blinding her. This took me about 35 minutes to do the entire lash lift and tint. So you could get 2 clients in within an hour and 15 minutes, and you could make some great money.
Yeah, I brought this into my service last year, and in a day I made an extra $300 because I charge $150.
Yeah, that's totally. All right. Is there any more questions? Oh, sorry, I just moved you. Is there any more questions about lash lifting?
I would love to encourage you guys to turn on your mics, your videos, put it in the chat, because this is the perfect time to ask all your lash lift or brow lamination questions.
I'm gonna come on. Hi. No questions?
Somebody said, did you start charging 150 or did you work your way up? So I personally already had an existing business. After taking before taking the Beautiful Lash and Brow, I probably charged $85. And then I did it's funny, I probably did like 4 and I was like, wow, I'm really, really good at this. So I'm gonna start charging 150. So it was pretty quick where I was like, I'm just gonna charge out the gate 150 because that's what I wanted to like the clientele that I wanted to bring in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is training available on the website?
Yes. So it's on a separate website. So our original website is beautifulbrowsandlashes.us. Our education website is beautifulbrowsandlashes.education. So we have online trainings, we have conversion courses. Maybe you're using another brand, but you're not getting the result that you want. We have tons of courses to be able to offer you success in the lash lifting industry.
I put the link in the thing as well.
Awesome. And Maria, you have a code too, if you want to share with them your code to purchase.
I'm obsessed with lash lifts on myself and do them occasionally for clients. I think I want to do them more with your system since it's waterless. Seriously, game changer. So I'll be watching as soon as I run out. Why is it so important to have a waterless system?
You know, a lot of estheticians starting out or cosmetologists starting out don't have the availability of having a sink in their room. And I think that's one of the biggest things is it kind of doesn't handicap you, but it kind of limits the types of treatments that you can use. Of course, you can bring in water, you can get distilled water, but it's just not necessary with our system. We have biotin in our system in our step number 1, and biotin is what's going to build the keratin blocks. And so the reason we don't use water is because in that rebuilding process, water could disrupt that process. So it's not needed in our system whatsoever.
If you where are you located? You said Utah, right?
I'm in southern Utah. Yep. So I'm an hour and a half from Vegas.
So in your area, how much would you personally charge for lash lifts?
Yeah, so I personally charge $85 for a lash lift and a tint. So Utah's definitely a different demographic, especially southern Utah. We're kind of in the corner of the state. So
that's still a good for what, $85 for 30 minutes?
Yeah.
I'm like, any more questions? How much did she say? I didn't hear. She said 85.
Yeah, 85.
Do you guys have any more questions? Do you have anything you want to add or something like, because a lot of the people in this specific Zoom are bringing on lash lifts to their services. So it was like curiosity. Is there anything you want to like let them know, tips?
Honestly, the biggest thing is like education is key, right? And that's going to enable your success throughout your entire career. So if you are thinking about bringing it on, I would definitely consider education. If you're already doing lash lifting, we offer free sample packs. So you just have to pay the postage for it to get to you. So it's completely free. So you can try it before you buy it. But yeah, I think lash lifting is definitely something that is super, super lucrative in this economy that we live in, especially where people are kind of going a little bit more natural on some aspects. And it's summertime and people want to go to the beach and they don't have to worry about extensions and other things like that. It's a great, great service to really get into right now.
I really want to say that again. You guys, they give free samples. How did they get the sample?
Yep. If you get a sample, or how you get a sample right now, you'll just email info@beautifulbrowsandlashes.us and you'll request a sample pack and we'll send you an invoice. Within the next weeks, it'll be a link on our website where you can just fill out the form and it'll be directly sent to you, but we don't have that up right now.
Funny enough, that's how I got started with you guys.
Really?
Yeah, so it was like, so I was like, dang, I won't say who I was using, but I was using somebody else. And I was like, I don't know, I didn't like the tinting part of it. The tint looked wild to me. It just didn't look pretty and natural, like that sexy,
Right.
eye. So then I saw you guys post free samples, and of course, who doesn't want free samples? And I was like, I did my first one and I was obsessed because it gives you that sexy, like if you look at her eye, it looks like sexy and wispy, pretty.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, and that's when I reached out to you guys and I was like, oh my God.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm available at any time. Like if you have questions or concerns about like in an education standpoint, you're struggling, like please just send me a message. I would love to help you.
Do you mind saying the email again for them to get free samples?
Yeah, I actually put it in the chat. It's info@beautifulbrowsandlashes.us.
Y'all better jump on those free samples.
Maria, thank you so much for having us on. You're always the best support. And I think what you have going on with the money making esthetician is so amazing. So,
Aw, I put it there right there. And then I'm going to put it here. I'll give you guys like 1 more minute. I mean, of course, questions are open, but if not, then we are done.
yeah, and I can follow the feed too, right? And if they have questions later, they can add it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's see. I didn't see the email and it didn't type fast enough.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
It's this one.
There we go. Yep.
Is that for samples? Yes, it is for samples.
Yep.
It is a great way to get started.
Totally. Yeah. That way you can try it and kind of get used to the system before.
I love that you do that specifically because like starting out, it's like, who do I trust? What do I like? What do I get started with? And that's such an easy way to just fall in love with the product and like just continue.
Yeah, especially as a student, right? Because like you're coming out of school, you don't know what products to use, but you might not have a ton of money to invest. And so that way you can try it.
Totally. Okay, well, thank you so much. And maybe we'll do the next one for the brows.
Yeah. Oh, I love brows. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.